C1. You are listening at FameTV.info. Northern Kingdom, Yangon City. On a snowy night, a purple ray of light streaked across the sky and landed on an abandoned pleasure boat by the river. Take off her clothes. The delinquent leader slapped his little brother's head as he scolded, "The rich man who gave you the silver has said that we must kill this unlucky thing first. Who told you to kill him?" The hooligans looked at the girl who had been dead for a long time, hesitating. "What are you doing? That's not good, right? Cut the crap. Quickly go." The delinquent leader stepped forward and grabbed the young girl's sleeve, and the rest of them also surrounded her, pulling at her skirt with all kinds of movements. Suddenly, the surface of the river burst with purple light. The pale-faced girl opened her eyes, grabbing the delinquent leader's wrist with lightning speed, and using her bare hands, she knocked the other 4 delinquents to the ground. The surroundings suddenly became quiet. Everyone lay on the ground, terrified as they looked at the girl who had come back to life. Qingming rubbed his temple. He then stepped on the delinquent leader's chest and asked, "What the hell is this place?" These people were all dressed strangely with their sleeves long and big like an ancient dress. They didn't wait for everyone's reply. She added, "Are assassination organizations so unprofessional these days? And he was still dressed like this when he left the mission. Isn't that clearly courting death?" The hoodlums who were beaten to the ground calmed down for a moment, then suddenly started to wail like ghosts and wolves. "It's a ghost. Fake a corpse." After that, he fled like a madman. The leader of the bullies who was being stepped on almost couldn't breathe. Qingming looked down and saw that his hands had become skinny and small, and he was still wearing his green sleeves and a white skirt. His body was skinny and weak, at most 15 or 16 years old. This was not her body in the apocalyptic world. It was an extremely special occupation. Just a moment ago, he was swept into the water by the tsunami, and when he opened his eyes again, he had arrived at this strange place and became such a skinny young lady. Transmigration. She was a little confused. She didn't expect that after so many years of research on the special aspects of teleportation, she would be the one to bump into it. The delinquent leader who was pressed down on the ground gave them a "kill her together" look, and pulled out a dagger from his waist. With a flip of his body, he stabbed towards Qingming's heart, while the rest rushed forward. "You're courting death." Qingming kicked the delinquent leader flying, and both of his hands intersected and flew in the air. In an instant, flames flew out from her palms, and a few delinquents were engulfed by the flames, rolling about as if their lives depended on it, but they were unable to extinguish the flames. Qingming lowered his head to look at his hands. Luckily, after changing his body, his fire ability was still present. She habitually touched her left wrist, bringing the invisible bracelet with her. The heavens really had treated her well. This bracelet could be completely controlled by one's consciousness in the artificial intelligence space. It could quickly differentiate the poison from the medicinal properties, but she still hadn't figured out the advanced functions and could only use it as a storage room. There was almost no use for cash anymore. A few sets of clothes and some jewelry could still be used, but the most important thing was that her family's inherited treasure, the Shen Shen cauldron, was still around. This also meant that she had a chance to live a peaceful life in this foreign world. Qingming took out a piece of purple gold lightning from the invisible bracelet, looked at the bullies who were covered in flames, and curled his lips. "Killing people must pay with one's life, so, all of you can die together." She threw the purple gold thunder into the flames, turned around, and jumped onto the shore. Behind him, the purple gold lightning exploded and flames shot up into the sky from the abandoned pleasure boat, burying everything within the sea of fire. It was snowing heavily, and a strong wind blew past his ears. Qingming stood on the shore as the water reflected her current appearance. A 15 to 16-year-old girl, so skinny that she couldn't stand the wind, born with phoenix eyes, the corners of her eyes raised up slightly. She looked very similar to her original appearance, except that there was a red birthmark on her forehead. Lowering her entire face, she raised her hand and gently touched it. Suddenly, she felt a splitting headache. The original owner's memories instantly flooded into his mind. This person had the same name as her, but he had the same surname, Lu Qingming. Lu Qingning, the second miss of the Fu clan's Shangshu manor, the one who lost her mother at a young age, was thrown into a village to live a miserable life. This was an ugly girl with no talent and no parents to support her. Prince Pingyang naturally didn't want to marry and hated this fiancée of hers that he had only met her a few times, but somehow she had become Lu Qingning, pestering Prince Pingyang to never let go, being treated as a joke by everyone, and had another nickname, Fantastic Second Miss Lu. The original owner's final memory froze as a beautiful woman spoke to her in a low voice, "Little sister, I heard that the emperor is about to tacitly approve noble heir Shen's marriage annulment. If you don't seize the opportunity, you won't have another chance. Tonight, His Highness the noble heir will pass through the Green River. If you can grasp this opportunity to explain it to him clearly, he won't hate you so much in the future." But Lu Qingning did not wait for the noble heir and lost his life to a thief, and the person who tricked her into suicide was Lu Qingning's half sister, Lu Mengyan. What a vulgar scene of sisters fighting for a husband, yet there was such a simple person like the original owner. Others would believe anything they said. Qingning closed his eyes, and said in a low voice, "Go ahead and be at ease, think of it as the reward for taking your body." The moment she turned around, a six-horn Qilin carriage rushed over. The bead curtain Lu Li wore made people's eyes shine under the reflection of the snow. The imposing manner it emanated made people clearly feel the nobility of the people inside the carriage. However, the horse was shocked and was about to rush into the river, so Qingning didn't even have time to dodge as a black shadow jumped out of the carriage and held her. Rolling a few rounds in the snow, the two of them crashed into a tree before coming to a stop. The menacing carriage charged into the river, splashing water everywhere. Qingning lifted his head, and into a pair of pitch-black inky eyes the man looked to be in his early 20s, with a gold-crowned jade belt and a purple robe. Even after rolling several rounds on the ground, he didn't seem to be embarrassed at all. His unparalleled handsome face set off the winter snow, just like a winter plum blossoming in the winter, living alone in the branches, cold and proud of the world. Her eyes were like the billowing of black jade, and her lips were covered in a layer of frost. This man. He looked a bit too monstrous. She only needed to glance at him once before her soul was almost taken away. That it was unknown if it was because the infatuated cells of the original owner's body were too strong, but when Qingning was hugged like this, his entire body began to heat up. His entire body was like a small stove. "You." She was about to ask the man to let her go. The man's thin, good-looking lips suddenly kissed hers. With a light touch, he immediately attacked the city. He was so savage that it was as if he was devouring her alive. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.